Coverage of our Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV is brought to you by the following sponsors. Our presenting sponsor, the Rail Trail Flatbread Company, a casual American dining experience with locations in Hudson and on Main Street here in Milford. Rentschler Biopharma, sponsor of our broadcast booth. Rentschler Biopharma transforms innovative ideas into life-saving biopharmaceuticals. Rentschler Biopharma, reliability you can trust. And Unibank, big bank know-how, community bank attitude. Serving the Milford community at their local branch on Prospect Street inside the Shaw's Plaza.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome inside the rain-soaked athletic fields here at Milford High School, as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Rail Trail Flatbread Company, a casual American dining experience specializing in an all-scratch-made kitchen featuring wood-fired flatbreads. An inviting atmosphere for the whole family to enjoy. And we come to you live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. Rentschler Biopharma is a global contract development and manufacturing organization. They specialize in biopharmaceuticals and advanced therapies. Rentschler Biopharma, reliability you can trust. Milford TV Executive Director Tim Coet here with you, getting started in the second week of this spring sports season. Still not quite feeling like spring around the Milford athletic facilities as we get set to bring you our first edition of Varsity Boys Lacrosse of this season. And today, the Milford Scarlet Hawks welcome in a Kelly Rex Division rival in the Franklin Panthers. It is cool, it is raw, it is rainy. It has been raining pretty much on and off for the last 3 days, of course, as anyone in the Milford area knows. And so we have not quite gotten into the spring weather as of yet, but these lacrosse teams are going to brave the elements out there today to get action underway. Lacrosse, just about the only spring sport that was able to remain on the schedule today, as everything else got washed away due to the rain, including baseball, softball, and tennis. All of the outdoor stuff getting postponed, but lacrosse will play on despite the less than ideal circumstances. And right now, Milford and Franklin meeting up in the center circle to get this game underway. Lights not on here at the turf field just yet under very gray and rainy skies as these teams try to track down the loose ball in the center circle. I would imagine that ball security is going to be certainly a challenge here today given the extreme slick conditions on the playing surface. Franklin finally able to control, but only briefly. That ball leaks out yet again, and now it's Milford who will pick it up. Trying to protect his Garen Fraunfelter as he makes his way over towards the near side and then gives it up to Robbie De Gasperis, one of the captains on the team this year. This roster is going to sound very familiar to anyone who has tuned into the lacrosse coverage the last couple of years. There were no seniors on the roster last season, so the entire complement from last year back for another go after having a very successful season last year, a plus 500 record, a playoff appearance, looking to build on that with a veteran roster. An empty trip into the attacking side to get this game started, and now it is Franklin who will carry it onto their offensive end. Ball right now on the stick of Jack O'Connor. Franklin, sort of the opposite of Milford, they graduated a large contingent from their team last year that really dominated through Kelly Rex Division play. Still a elite level defensive team, but looking for some new faces to step up this season on the offensive side. But as we've always come to expect from these Franklin programs, just so much talent, so much depth. You can expect that the offense will certainly be there as well, as Franklin right now patrols the perimeter on this attacking side with just under 10.5 minutes on the first quarter clock. Trying to take it in now, Thomas Quinn, and the ball ends up past the Milford goal and out of play. Possession will stay with the Panthers. It is Sam Friedman taking over in net for the Panthers this season. He is also a captain on the squad. Of course, on the Milford side, it is the junior Anthony Mastriani back in net for another season. This ball in tight. Mastriani trying to defend. And that one on the scoreboard, so able to get a pass right at the near post and drop it in for the opening score. We will do our best to keep tabs on the uniform numbers for the goal scorers. A little bit trickier in these wet conditions, but that appeared to be Charlie Valerino for Franklin with that goal. scoring with exactly 10 minutes to play in this first quarter to give Franklin the early lead. Bodies tumbling out of that face-off circle. Milford will have possession. Ball on the stick of Matthew Leosh. It is Henry Baldick, Anthony Maeda, Matthew Leosh, Robbie De Gasperis, and Jaden Martins, all captains on this veteran-heavy Milford squad this season. De Gasperis in, and he takes a tumble. Again, there are those slick conditions as the ball ends up back on the stick of Friedman and net. And Franklin will look to break it out. Heavy contact. Getting checked from behind, and now a couple of bodies go spilling out of play on a heavy check from Jason Stokes. Stokes now a junior on this varsity roster for Milford. He was the breakout star of the squad a season ago, ended up leading the team in scoring. Seen a lot of Jason in the last couple of years in various Milford sports programs. We saw him last in the fall on the football team. Did not see Jason come out for the basketball team this season after being part of the varsity program last year. But again, such an impact player on this lacrosse field. About to tick under 9 minutes to play in the first quarter. The lone goal on the Franklin side so far. Franklin has been the dominant force in boys lacrosse in the Kelly Rex division for really the last decade. And so with that, Milford has not had really any success in the previous head-to-head meetings between these two schools, as this shot comes in low, had plenty on it, and that's going to double the Franklin lead. That looked like it was Ballerino, excuse me. This time with that low sort of sidearm shot. Getting a look at the replay, that might have been Jack O'Connor with the shot. Again, doing our best to keep up through the raindrops to try to get these goal scorers identified. So 2-0 lead now for the Panthers. As we get back into the action here, still in the first quarter. For trying to get their feet under them, literally and figuratively, in this first quarter. Again, a very slick field turf for these players to deal with today. Milford trying to wrap around from behind the net here, but a trio of defenders collapse in nicely right at the post. Ball comes loose and Franklin back with control. Good movement across the middle, acceleration into the attacking side for number 15. That is Thomas Quinn. Head coach for this Scarlet Hawks boys lacrosse program once again is Austin Costa. Franklin trying for a quick pass and shoot from around behind the net. That time it was not executed. Ball still on the Panthers' stick. It's briefly dropped on the ground, and Frontfelter was trying to pounce on it. Now another loose ball, and Franklin will get chased back out. A quick pass, release, and this time held onto by the stick of Mastriani. A loop a little pass towards the far sideline. Milford will break it out past midfield. A nice little one-hop pass onto the stick of Jason Stokes. Stokes with a double team, he's able to carve between. And now a tough angle shot, really parallel with the net. And it's broken up, the save made by Sam Friedman, but the ball left on the ground. A flag comes in. So a cross-check penalty is going to be called on Jason Stokes, so he heads to the sideline. And advantage for Scarlet Panthers. Although it's Anthony Maeda down on a knee. Stokes was also headed towards the sideline, so it looks like it was Maeda called for the penalty. So Franklin with a good opportunity to advance the lead, and they are just able to get that one between the wickets of Mastriani, and that's the second goal now of the quarter for the senior Jack O'Connor. He scores here with 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Franklin really settling in nicely to this matchup here today, despite the weather conditions. Franklin into the matchup today. They have just played one game on the season. That was a victory over Oliver Ames High School, a 19-1 win back on April 2nd. Milford has played 2 games. They're 1-1, 0-1 within league play. They opened the season with a victory on the road against Martha's Vineyard, 8-6, and then lost on the road to King Philip last week, 11-3. Trying to come away with their first Hockomock League win of the season, as that pass goes nowhere over the middle. They'll drift out of play on the near sideline, and Franklin will take over possession. Less than 6 minutes on the first quarter clock as this ball comes loose all the way back to center. Both teams fighting for it. We'll have some substitutions now. As Milford will have possession. Stokes back into the game. Trying to get around the defender. That is Kieran Walsh. Now a long pass pops off the stick of De Gasparis and out of play. Speed now over the middle for Franklin's number 27, Flynn Baker, another one of their captains. 3-0 lead for the Panthers. It's 3 captains in total on the Franklin side: Sam Friedman, Flynn Baker, and Drew McCarthy. Milford up the far sideline now as we tick down to 5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Tough pass on the move was intercepted. Angling for Garen Fraunfelter, it didn't get there, and now back on the defensive end. This ball picked up by Sully Driscoll. Driscoll with a pass that's eventually picked up by Dylan Burns. Burns bodying up, sends a defender on his backside. And the result will be a change of possession. Too physical there from Burns. Now a push on the near sideline from Leosh, but Franklin able to get away, and now looping a pass from far side to near side onto the stick of O'Connor, who already has 2 goals in this quarter. Towards the near post, and breaking it up right at the last minute was Ryan Burns. Good defensive play. Franklin now tracking the ball down to the near sideline. 3 Milford players in on the action, and now some shoving up high. Officials letting that go, but Franklin emerges with possession. They were trying to plant that pass right on the doorstep for a chance for Ballerino to sink his second shot, but that ball was just offline on the pass. Milford Now we'll have a chance to start the breakout from around behind their own net. They'll send a pass along the far sideline to Ryan Burns. This pass overcooked, looking for Ricky Nashawati. Will go out of play, and Franklin will take over possession. Started out with Friedman. Steps out of his crease before he gives the pass away. Franklin very methodical in this quarter, building up a 3-goal lead. They have won the time of possession battle. Again, both of these teams hanging in there despite some pretty miserable conditions down at field level. Ball loose briefly. Now Milford able to pounce. They're able to pick it up. That was a quick stick for Anthony Maeda. Dumps it ahead on target to Nashawati. Good speed for Ricky. Around behind the net. And he'll find De Gasperis. Now up top for Stokes. Ticking down to the final 2 minutes to play in first quarter action. Stokes dropping that pass down low towards the front of the net. Jaden Martins comes to the near sideline for a sub out. Milford has not been able to get Martins into the offensive action yet in this game. He has been a huge goal scorer for this team in his varsity career so far. Now a senior. Less than 90 seconds to go in the quarter. Physical play. Milford will take over after the whistle. Stokes trying to fight through some very active sticks from Franklin. He ends up putting the ball on the turf. The Panthers pick it up, trying to take advantage of transition, and instead elect to drop the pass back to Jack O'Connor. And there's no rush here with less than a minute to go in the quarter. O'Connor now trying to turn the corner on Jason Stokes. Fires it on net, but this time Mastriani is able to make the save. He just dumps this ball. It'll take a roll all the way back out towards the middle of the field, where we get more heavy contact. Milford is able to advance along the near sideline. 28 seconds to go. And Milford dump one in here just before the conclusion of this first quarter. Robbie De Gasperis with it. Down to the final 10 seconds, and Milford forced all the way out back close to midfield. 5 seconds to go as this ball gets looped in onto the stick of Martins. He tries to body his way inside and fire in on net. The ball does not get to Friedman as time expires now in the first quarter. So Franklin off to a solid start. 3 goals in the quarter, 2 of them from Jack O'Connor. And so it is a 3-0 lead for the Franklin Panthers on top of the Milford Scarlet Hawks. Very quick pause here on the broadcast as we bring it to you live from the Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. We'll be back with the second quarter in just a moment here on Milford TV. Coverage is presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Together with their partners, Rentschler Biopharma transforms innovative ideas into life-saving biopharmaceuticals. Rentschler Biopharma, reliability you can trust. We bring you this action from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth as we continue on with the second quarter. Boys varsity lacrosse action here in rainy Milford. A 3-0 lead for the Franklin Panthers. Credit our presenting sponsor for our Scarlet Hawks coverage here on Milford TV, the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. .11:35 on the second quarter clock as the teams flipped sides and a quick strike from distance. That was the captain, Drew McCarthy, the defenseman, getting the score. We'll take another look on the delay on our live stream, try to verify the goal scorer. That developed quickly. And indeed, 26, the captain, Drew McCarthy. So 4-0 lead now for the Panthers. Still in the early stages of this second quarter. Franklin continues to control off the ensuing face-off, and Milford trying to protect here. Another shot on goal, this time from number 17, Jack Fairweather. He'll get it back on his stick here, and now out to Nate Walsh, the sophomore. It's a lot of upperclassmen on this Franklin roster, but a couple of sophomores on the varsity squad. Just the second game of the season, as we mentioned, for the Panthers, but already looking very comfortable. Kicking off what we expect to be the first of 3 varsity games for you this week on our Milford TV coverage, and this one by far we think will be the worst weather day of the week. We'll be outside again on Wednesday to see the softball team in action for the first time, and while it may be some chilly conditions on Wednesday, we do believe it's going to be rain-free. And then on Thursday we'll be back in the gym for the boys volleyball team. So plenty to check out all week long on our live Milford TV sports coverage. You can check it all out streaming on our YouTube channel. And navigating some technical issues, getting our YouTube streams to be able to come through on our educational and high definition channels, but in the meantime you can always stream the coverage live on our YouTube channel. As this pass comes in from around behind the Milford net, controlled up top by Quinn Kilty. Kilty now with a sidearm shot. Mastriani drops down to a knee to make the save. And now a little sidearm flip that does make its way to Maeda. Anthony now lowers the shoulder as he plows his way across midfield. Anthony Maeda never shying away from contact, and unfortunately we got a player down on the back end of the play, skewered from our view up in the press box with the umbrellas down at field level. So the training staff out on the field now for an injury timeout with the clock stopped at 9 minutes and 16 seconds to go. And so while we have the break in the action, we can share with you our schedule information coming up here throughout the month of April. As we mentioned, we'll be out on the softball field coming up on Wednesday to see the varsity softball team in action against the Attleboro Bombardiers. Should be a good matchup. And then on Thursday, we'll be in the gym for varsity boys volleyball. They will also be taking on Attleboro, the Bombardiers, with a relatively new varsity boys volleyball program. And then The following week, we'll see our first baseball action of the season coming up on Monday, April 14th against Canton. We'll have more lacrosse action towards the end of the month. Boys lacrosse against Mansfield on the 16th. Girls lacrosse against Attleboro later on the 28th. And then we round out the month with the softball team taking on their Franklin counterparts. And so that's all the sports action you can look forward to throughout this month here on Milford TV. Hoping that the weather will continue to improve as those games continue on. But of course, all of our outdoor sports coverage very much weather dependent. So it's always good to stay close to our social media accounts, as we'll keep you updated if anything changes with any of our coverage. So getting ready to resume now out of the injury timeout. Again, a little more than 9 minutes on the clock here in the second quarter. It's been all Franklin on the scoreboard so far with a 4-0 lead. 3 goals in the first quarter. And now Milford breaking things up in front of Mastriani and net, but Franklin able to reset. Kilty up top now, a quick pass trying to find Jack O'Connor, who's now in search of a hat trick in this game. Bodies come together right as that ball went out of play and stayed Franklin possession. Franklin wanted to release that shot from distance, but Milford closing off the angle to the net. Substitutions coming out onto the field with 8:41 to play until the half. And so I beg your pardon. That ball ended up in the back of the net there. It was tricky to tell as Mastriani went down to his side. So it is a 5-0 score now. And so it was O'Connor who got that shot from towards the far sideline, so he does secure the hat trick. So again, Franklin showing that they're still going to be a prime contender for another Kelly Rex Division title. This ball loose, Milford tracking it down. It's Stokes who picks it up on the field of play. And in tight, and Milford's finally going to get on the scoreboard here. Nice job from Stokes to track that ball down all the way in the corner. Preserve the possession for Milford. They got a pass back out in front, and then it was Jaden Martins who was able to deliver the score. So it's 7:44. In the half. Is Milford finally on the scoreboard? It's now 5-1. Thanks to that goal from Jaden Martins. Jaden Martins had 58 goals last season. I misspoke earlier in the broadcast. It was Jason Stokes that led the team overall in points last season. It was Jaden Martins who led the team in goals with 58. Martins 58 goals, 11 assists for a total of 69 points. Jason Stokes had 41 goals on 38 assists for a total of 79 points. As right now we have timeout taken on the field. So Stokes and Martins, the two top point getters for Milford last season. All of the top scorers for Franklin last year were seniors. But as we've seen so far today, not having any problem offensively, even in these very wet and rainy conditions. As we take a look at the most up-to-date weather, right now here in Milford, 37 degrees with a feels-like temperature of 31, so not exactly the beautiful spring weather you dream about. Not often we venture out in weather this cold unless we're talking football playoffs. It's been the hand that these teams have been dealt weather-wise for these first couple of weeks of April. So 4-goal deficit now as we're set to resume the second quarter with 7 minutes and 34 seconds to go. Milford winning the face-off, trying to build a little momentum surge here. Martin's unable to pick up that ball on the ground, and now Franklin on the move up the far side. Around behind the net now for the Panthers. Jordan Gasper with the ball on his stick. Now to Thomas Quinn. Quinn one-on-one against Stokes. Stokes with an active stick. Stokes trying to get some help as he was able to hold the attacker at bay. In the end, the ball on the stick of Mastriani, who sends a pass into traffic. Out of the reach of Ryan Burns, and Franklin right back on the attack. Milford needing to be almost perfect with these passes, as Franklin has been so aggressive. A lot of credit to the fans coming out to check out this game today. I'm sure a mix of both schools represented, with just a short distance between Milford High School and Franklin High School, but all the fans here in full rain gear, and no doubt several layers as well, trying to stay warm and stay dry. Not an easy task on a day like today. Nate Walsh for Franklin now, angling in towards net, fires, and he scores. Nate Walsh, the sophomore, scores with 5 minutes and 10 seconds to go. And so Franklin gets the goal back. They reestablish the 5-score lead. It is now 6-1. Back to the face-off circle now. Ball loose right at the center of the Milford logo. Pushed towards the attacking side by Milford. Eventually picked up. Pass glances off the stick of De Gasparis. He picks it back up and then will swing around behind the net for Sully Driscoll. De Gasparis closed off. 26 on 26 behind the net. Mr. McCarthy briefly loses his stick. Milford shoots, and they score. And so nice work behind the net to get that scoring opportunity started. To be Martin's who was eventually able to finish it off, taking the pass from De Gasparis and dropping it in for his second goal now of this half. And so Milford starting to have a little bit more success on the offensive side. 4:35 to go now. Second goal makes it now 6-2. Milford securing possession off the face-off. Now trying to get organized across the middle. Getting the ball to Jason Stokes, forced in the wrong direction, gives it up back to Gasparis, who got the assist on that latest goal from Jaden Martins. Right now, Franklin forcing Milford all the way out towards midfield. Ricky Nashawati now. Little spin move, gets it back to Stokes. Stokes again having to force his way through a double team. 2 flags will come in. So the penalty assessed on number 26, Drew McCarthy. So the man advantage here for the Scarlet Hawks. Can they take advantage with 3.5 minutes to go in the half? Trying to chip away at this Franklin lead. Trying to set up Martins on the doorstep, but pass never got there. Now the ball on the ground. Martins hacking away from behind, but advancing is Alex Weber. Ball loose, and now a tough battle there, almost uncontested shot on goal, and Mastriani was able to cast it aside off the shot attempt from Jack Fairweather. And so now another flag comes in on a shot attempt in on Mastriani. Right now they put the score on the board. And so despite the penalty to the captain, Drew McCarthy, ball quickly going the other way, and an initial good save from Mastriani, but Franklin keeps the pressure on. They score goal number 7. The initial shot attempt was from Fairweather. That was saved by Mastriani. And then Fairweather with another opportunity, and this time he was able to put it in. Got a little shove in the back after the goal. And so number 17, Jack Fairweather, gives the Panthers now a 7-2 lead. So Milford has unfortunately not been able to kind of get into a sustained groove here at any point with the relentlessness of this Franklin team. The stick goes flying out of the hands of Robbie De Gasparis. Ball back loose around the logo. Milford now ahead with it. Defense chases Sully Driscoll back towards the near sideline, and now Nashawati tracks the ball back towards midfield. Nashawati losing the size battle there against the defender. That looks like Flynn Baker. And now a headlong dive in as the ball came loose on Driscoll behind the net. This game getting more and more physical as it goes on. Less than 2 minutes until we reach halftime. .90 seconds now to go. Milford starts it from behind their net. Ronfelter Trying to work off of a screen from Stokes instead. Pass to Jason, who now tries to thread one in the direction of Jaden Martins. Franklin now from the goalie will start things off. It was broken up at first by Fraunfelter, but Franklin scoops it off the turf. Ball comes loose. It's picked up by Dylan Burns. Milford with 52 seconds left. As Burns takes it in and will whip it on net from long distance. That was offline. Ball goes out of play. Milford will retain possession with 44 seconds to go in the second quarter. Pass into Martins, fights through, sends a low angle shot in on net, and that took a high hop. Not sure if Sam Friedman got a stick on that or if it just glanced up completely over the net. Franklin now will take it the other way with less than 30 seconds to go in the quarter. And Franklin will fire it in from long range, and they make it hurt here right in the closing seconds, and Jack O'Connor will net his fourth goal of the half. So Milford gives Franklin the chance. To get possession back late, and they make the most of it. Last bid here for Milford, 3 seconds to go. Sent in from long range from Jason Stokes, well off target, and that will be the final play of this first half. So Milford able to get a couple on the board from Jaden Martins, but an array of goal scorers on the Franklin side as they have dominated this match so far. And at halftime, it is Franklin 8 and Milford 2. They put about 10 minutes on the clock for halftime, so if you're joining us on our live coverage, hang tight for the next few minutes. We'll be back with third quarter action shortly as we bring you all of this action live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. And our presenting sponsor for Scarlet Hawks Athletics here on Milford TV is the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Stay with us. Back once again from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth as we bring you second half action in this varsity boys lacrosse matchup between the Milford Scarlet Hawks and the visiting Franklin Panthers. 8-2 is the lead for the Panthers. Presenting sponsor of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV is the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Rail Trail announcing they will have ice cream from their partner restaurant, New City Micro Creamery, available on the weekends now in their Milford location. So that ice cream cart will be available with an array of tasty flavors from New City. And if you have not been to New City before in their main location in Hudson, certainly recommend you check them out. All kinds of flavors, liquid nitrogen freezing process for that ice cream at New City. So both Rail Trail and New City, just an outstanding duo. The 2 goals for Milford in the first half were scored by the senior captain, Jaden Martins. On the Franklin side, Jack O'Connor leading the scoring with 3 goals. Beg your pardon, 4 goals, 2 in each quarter. He scored the final goal of that first half with just 15 seconds to go. Continuing to get darker as we get into the early evening hours now here in Milford, just before 5 p.m. Ball popped straight up in the air around midfield. Still no lights on at the turf field quite yet. As again, right now, the feels like temperature is below freezing. And yet still plenty of hardy souls out checking out this lacrosse action. And for those of you who are watching from the warmness and dryness of your homes, we can't blame you, and we're happy to bring you the coverage here on Milford TV. Whether you're checking out the coverage tonight as a Milford fan or a Franklin fan, happy to have all of the viewers on board. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get alerts for whenever we go live with coverage, and notifications as well whenever we post new content from all of our staff-produced programs on Milford TV, including all of Milford's municipal meetings. Keep you updated with school concerts and events, new episodes of the Milford Informer. As this shot comes in, Mastriani goes down low to try to make the stop, but that is in for the score. Goal number 9 on the day for the Panthers. More good movement on that possession for Franklin. So I do believe that last goal scorer was Quinn Kilty for Franklin. Doing our best to try to keep up with the scores. Nine to 2 is the Franklin lead. As we get a lot of contact behind the Milford net. Right in the middle of it was Ryan Burns. This ball left up for grabs. Milford is going to push it back towards midfield. Teams will exchange personnel here with 7 minutes and 56 seconds on the third quarter clock. Meanwhile, Matthew Leosh on the sideline right now, looking to be in some pain. There's been some bruising physical play between these two teams throughout this one, as we get a quick strike off the restart, and that looked to be Thomas Quinn for Franklin with the score. So the Panthers right now really running away with it with 7:44 to go here in the third quarter. They now make it an 8-score lead. We mentioned it, just not any success in these head-to-head meetings for Milford against Franklin. We track the matchups back all the way to the 2017 season. And it's been a perfect 7-0 record for Franklin against Milford. And the most goals that Milford has had in a game against the Panthers was just 4. That was back in 2022 in a game that they lost 25-4. As this shot comes in and ticks wide to the near side off the stick of Garen Fraunfelter. Milford maintains possession. Driscoll with the pass from around behind the net to Stokes. And Stokes will fire one on net. Stick save is made by Sam Friedman. Rebound came out, but Franklin was able to control. And meanwhile, here is Jaden Martins, who was left all alone in front of the net with possession. There was a whistle in there, but play continued. And then Martins ends up with his third goal of the game. Milford using some long passing there. And Martins says thank you very much. He gets the hat trick in this game, and it's now 10-3. So all the offensive damage on the Milford side coming courtesy of number 28, Jaden Martins. Franklin with a win in the face-off circle. Franklin getting some new personnel out on the field, including Seamus Conlon, who will deliver this pass around behind the Milford net. Taking down to 6 minutes to play in quarter 3. And a hard shot right on a line gets past Mastriani. And Quinn Kilty with his second score in this second half. And that's just sort of been the story of the day here for Milford. Anytime they get a goal to start to feel good about themselves, Franklin is able to answer right back and then some. Little looping pass on the stick of Thomas Quinn as Franklin continues to control the pace here. Panthers ended up with a coaching change after last season. They had only had one coach in the history of their boys lacrosse program. Lou Verocchi ended up retiring after last season. Chris Baker taking over the program, and clearly the team still looking as dangerous as ever. Down to 4.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. It's just starting to come on here now at the turf field. Looks like a delayed penalty here against Milford, as this ball comes loose and will go out on the near side. It's an offsides penalty against the Scarlet Hawks.
Milford, let's go!
Milford fans in attendance imploring the Scarlet Hawks to find another gear here. You have to imagine in these kind of raw, cold conditions, as that deficit starts to mount, it's hard to stay fully engaged. Uniform soaked. Freezing cold conditions, just not easy, as Franklin will now fire in another one. And Thomas Quinn nets his second goal now in this third quarter, so it has been Quinn and Kilty who have done the damage. With 3:58 to go, it is now 12-3. Just continuing to control the tempo of this quarter. One goal by Martins really kind of developed out of nowhere. Milford got lucky with a couple of long passes. That's now the Panthers able to get one past Mastriani yet again to establish an even 10-goal lead. To be Jack Fairweather notching his second goal of the game. Milford this time able to win the face-off. Burns could not advance up that near sideline. Ball came loose. Unfortunate that Stokowski was there to pick it up. Ends up flat on his back. So Panthers now wrap it around behind the Milford net. Less than 2.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Picked up by Thomas Quinn. Has 2 goals in this third quarter. Drive in towards the near post. Slings a shot that glanced around behind the net. Travels out of play. This will take us inside of 2 minutes to play in the third. Franklin around behind the Milford net, A lot of stick work back there by Burns. And now in front, Mastriani tried to take a step out to make the save, but the score sneaks in to make it a 14-3 Franklin lead. Counted for Jordan Gaspar. It's his first today. It's been a tough quarter for the Scarlet Hawks. Outscored 6-1. It's been the most productive offensive quarter of the game so far for Franklin. They've continued to ramp it up as this one has gone on. They scored 3 in the first, 5 in the second, and now 6 here in the third. Franklin scored 19 goals in that 19-1 win against Oliver Ames. Their only game so far on the season, so still a handful to go to try to match that total. 30 seconds left here in the third. Davis Barris twisting around. Ends up leaving the ball behind, and Franklin pushes back towards the middle of the field. Final sequence here in the quarter. Milford gets it back. Less than 10 seconds as they dump it off to Stokes. Stokes will fire it in, able to get it on net, but a clean save made by Sam Friedman, as that will wrap things up here in the third quarter. So again, Franklin continues to pour it on. They will carry a 14-3 advantage into the fourth quarter. We'll bring that fourth quarter to you in just a moment as we bring you this coverage live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. The coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics here on Milford TV is presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV is presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Coverage is also brought to you in part by Rentschler Biopharma, proud sponsor of our broadcast booth. Coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics is also brought to you in part by Unibank, big bank know-how, community bank attitude. Check them out at their Milford location on Prospect Street, right inside the Shaw's Plaza. It is a 14-3 lead for the Franklin Panthers as we bring you this fourth quarter action. Milford now looking to attack from left to right across your screens in what has been a bitter cold day, rainy throughout, and a tough one for these Milford fans. As it was a relatively low-scoring game after the first quarter, a 3-0 lead for Franklin. Milford was able to get a couple of goals in the second quarter, but Franklin has just continued to force the issue, and they have now built up an 11-goal lead with now less than 11 and a half minutes to play. The Scarlet Hawks last season finished the year 12-8. They made it into the Division II state tournament. And did not have a single player leave for graduation, not one senior on last year's roster, as Franklin with with a little bit of a circus spin around over the middle, able to deliver a shot in on Mastriani for goal number 15. So a lot of optimism on the part of Coach Costa and a lot of those around the program, hoping that this team will continue to take steps forward. But it is always a tough proposition for this lacrosse team when Franklin comes to town. Just a lot of elite level competition across the Hockomock League in boys lacrosse. I think that might have been Jack O'Connor getting back into the scoring here in this fourth quarter after he scored 4 in the first half. And right now, timeout taken on the field. It stops the clock with 9:57 to go. To 3 lead for Franklin, and so again, that is goal number 5 in the game for Jack O'Connor. Impressive day. So we try to dig back through the stats from last season. O'Connor was not amongst the Hockomock League scoring leaders, but I think that will likely change this season. Thomas Quinn looks to be the only returning player that cracked the top scorers in the league last season, and that was with 6 goals on 6 assists for a total of 12 points. This crowd still lively, those who are in the stands for this one. Perhaps trying to keep themselves warm more than anything. Clock rolling under 9.5 minutes to play as Franklin tries to move out from behind the Milford net. Ball rolling loose at the goal mouth as a flag comes in. A couple of flags come in on the field. Mastriani's been in net throughout this one for the Scarlet Hawks. See if we can get a more detailed roster from Coach Costa as the season goes on. We don't have positions on the roster we received before the season, and not quite sure who the backup goalie is for Milford. Looks to be number 29 on the sidelines with the goalie equipment, but we don't have a 29 on our roster, so we'll look to get some more information from the Milford coaching staff the next time we're out for boys lacrosse action. Another pause in the action down on the field as we look ahead to how the schedule will start to unfold for this boys lacrosse team moving forward. After this game wraps up today, they will be home again a little bit later on in the week. They'll be hosting the Foxborough Warriors on April 10th. And then on the road against the Sharon Eagles on the 14th before they return home on the 16th to take on the Mansfield Hornets. They'll have a non-conference matchup at home later on in the month against Bishop Stang. So that's some of what is coming up on the schedule for this boys lacrosse program. As the clock continues to roll here, despite This being in a bit of a stoppage here, rolling clock situation with the big Franklin lead. As we now resume, Franklin with possession. 7 minutes to go. This loose ball gets scooped up by Matthew Leosh. Milford now on their attacking side, Degasparis. Pass in tight towards the net, initially on the stick of Driscoll, but he couldn't hold on. Franklin moving the ball with confidence as they have all game long. Drop around behind the net. This ball will roll to the near sideline and out of play. Milford will take over as we are about to drop under the 6-minute mark. Certainly not an easy day for these officials either, bundled up down there as they follow along with the action. Just a nasty weather day all around for everyone here at the field, but everyone doing their best to keep this game running smoothly. While we look to work through the bugs that have been preventing us from getting these games up live on our channels, I can assure you that we'll have all of our spring sports games available for re-air on both our educational and high definition channels throughout the spring season. So you can check out all of our upcoming programming on our programming guides for each of our channels on our website at milfordtv.net. And again, you can check out any of these games anytime by streaming them on our YouTube channel. Jaden Martin's digging away now right at the goal mouth. Friedman glued to that near post. Still with possession, Maeda from around behind the net. Pass out in front, picked up on a hop by Fraunfelter. And now a pass that got away. No doubt the slick conditions there causing Fraunfelter to airmail that pass. He slaps the turf with his stick in frustration after that errant pass. Franklin quickly comes in tight on Mastriani. The ball goes wide. And now loose behind the net, pushed towards the Milford goalie. Mastriani picks it up. Sling it out from behind his own net. And now a long pass on a hop is picked up once again by Sully Driscoll. Under 3.5 minutes to go in the game. And from distance, it is a good shot from Stokes, but an even better stick save by Sam Friedman. Around behind the net. So it's been a good day overall for Sam Friedman, the captain in net for Franklin. A new everyday goaltender for Franklin, taking over for Matt Corvey, who is now playing lacrosse for UMass Boston. Mastriani in his second season back as the primary goalie for the Scarlet Hawks, able to make a good stick save there, and now getting battered around as he comes out of the crease and will take a hard shot. And then it is Jack Fairweather who took Mastriani to the turf. To show some good sportsmanship after a hard collision. About to tick down to the final 90 seconds. Milford with possession, trying to see if they can sneak one more in here before the conclusion. It's Maeda, he'll take a shot. That's cast aside. Friedman takes some time around behind his net, sends this one in the air past midfield, but it is picked up from there by Thomas Souza. Souza trying to paddle it back in the direction of Ricky Nashawati, but Franklin now is up with it. 42 seconds remaining now as Franklin will fire away at the net once again. The save is made by Mastriani, and he'll send the ball back out to midfield towards Jason Stokes. 30 seconds now on the clock. Degasparis trying to make something happen in transition, but now sends it backwards to Nashawati. Driscoll behind the net. Final 15 seconds. This one sent in from long distance, and a late score here for the Scarlet Hawks. And it is Robbie Degasparis, the captain. Sneaks one in here just before the buzzer to give us a final score of 15-4. So Milford, the good news is they match their highest goal total that they've had against Franklin in their varsity career, but the Panthers too much for Milford here tonight as the final score, Franklin defeats Milford 15-4. And so with the win, Franklin will improve to 2-0 now on the young season. Milford will drop below 500. They are now 1-2. So again, Milford will play at home again a little bit later on this week, taking on the Foxborough Warriors on April 10th. That's a 4 o'clock expected start time for varsity action. But for us here on Milford TV, our next live coverage will come your way on Wednesday afternoon, as we'll be over at the softball field to see the Scarlet Hawks take on the Attleboro Bombardiers. So we hope you will join us for that coverage coming up on Wednesday afternoon. We'll have boys volleyball action later on this week for you as well. All of it can be streamed live on our YouTube channel. I want to extend a big thank you to our Milford TV crew, braving the very cold conditions, bringing you this coverage here tonight. Our director for the game is Patrick Garapi. Our camera operator is Hunter Miller, and I am Tim Coet. That final score, one final time, 15-4. Franklin defeats Milford. This has been a presentation of Scarlet Hawks Athletics here on Milford TV, presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. So long, everybody.